Hello? Can you hear me? Testing, testing. Let's see. Ron, hold on. How do I go back to Ron? Testing, testing. Mic check, 1, 2, 2. Testing, testing. Ooh, cool.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think we're good.
You think so? Are we gonna adjourn into recess?
What's that?
Are we gonna adjourn into recess right now? Recess.
Okay.
Okay, toodles. Um,
Yeah, well, cross our fingers, I sure will. I think we tested. All right.
Testing, testing. When you're done, you just.
Welcome to the City of Milpitas Planning Commission on February 28, 2024. Oral public comments may only be provided live during Planning Commission meeting in person. All comments provided shall be limited to 3 minutes or less, as determined by the chair. All members of the public will be limited to 1 comment per agenda item and 1 comment for non-agenda items. Members of the public may submit written comments by email to Planning Department at milpitas.gov. Next item, Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask Commissioner Albana to lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the United States, to the republic, and the nation.
Our next agenda, roll call, Ms. Medina.
Thank you, Commissioner Galong. I'll take attendance, starting with our newest commissioner, Commissioner Kong. Here. Commissioner Colkins,
Here.
Commissioner Gupta,
Here.
Commissioner Medina Ashby,
Present.
Commissioner Awasti is absent this evening, Commissioner Albana,
Here.
and Commissioner Galong.
Present.
Thank you.
Next item, Conflict of Interest Declaration.
Thank you, Chair Pro Tem. I ask the Chair and every other member of the Commission whether he or she has any financial or personal conflict of interest related to any of the items on tonight's agenda.
Commissioner Kong? No. Commissioner Colkins?
No.
Commissioner Gupta?
None.
Commissioner Medina Ashby?
None.
Commissioner Albana?
None.
And Commissioner Galong.
None.
Thank you.
Thank you. I further ask the Chair and every other member of the Commission to please disclose any campaign contributions of $100 or more received within the last 12 months from any of the parties entering into contracts with the city on tonight's agenda, or contributions received from any development project applicant for development projects on tonight's agenda.
Commissioner Kong? None. Commissioner Colkins?
None.
Commissioner Gupta?
None.
Commissioner Medina Ashby?
None.
Commissioner Albana?
None.
And Commissioner Galong.
None.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Let the record reflect no reported conflicts.
Our next agenda, election of chair and vice chair for 2024.
Thank you. As the city attorney, I've been delegated authority by our secretary, Liz Medina, to preside over this election. Unless I hear an objection, the procedure that we're going to follow is that I'll first call for anyone who wants to nominate any of their colleagues. The nominator can speak in favor of the nominee. I will next recognize the nominee if they want to speak on the nomination. I will then hear from anyone who hasn't yet spoken on the nomination as to that nomination. And then I will open the floor once all discussion of that nomination has occurred, that nominee has occurred, to any other nomination that anyone wants to make, and we will repeat the process. Once we have all of the nominations, I will invite discussion from the body as to all of the nominees. We will take the discussion as one nominee at a time, although we can certainly go back. Once discussion is complete, I will open the floor to any motions to appoint any of them. We're going to start with the chair and do that procedure until we have a chair selected, and then repeat the process for the vice chair. If there aren't any questions or objections, then that's how we're going to proceed tonight. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is to call for public comment. Does anyone wish to make a public comment on the selection of chair and vice chair? The public comment that we received in writing on this item from Commissioner Awasti will be a part of the record, but will not be read. Public comment. Do we have any public comments?
We do not. Thank you.
Okay, then I will open the floor to anyone, any member of the commission who wishes to make a nomination. Yes, light up it as red and I'll call on people in order. Commissioner Medina Ashby.
I nominate Commissioner Albana.
Commissioner Albana, do you want to speak, or Commissioner Medina Ashby, do you want to speak in favor of that nomination? Or would you like to pass to Commissioner Albana?
I'll pass to. Yes, I will accept that responsibility.
Does anyone else want to speak on this nomination before we move on to any other nominations?
I think it's an excellent nomination. I concur, yeah.
All right, looking down the row and seeing no one else wanting to speak on this item, does anyone else wish to make a nomination? I'm getting right there. So I don't see anyone else wants to make a nomination. I will then ask, does anyone have a motion?
I make a motion.
Well, let's start with what the motion is. Commissioner Gupta, you have a motion. What is your motion?
My motion is to nominate Mercedes Albana.
I understand correctly to appoint to the position of Chair Commissioner Albana.
Yes.
Do I have a second? Motion by Commissioner Gupta, second by Commissioner Galong. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Kong? Aye. Commissioner Hawkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta?
Aye.
Commissioner Medina Ashby?
Aye.
Commissioner Albana?
Aye.
Of course, of course.
Commissioner Galong?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the vote is unanimous. We have a chair. We're now going to repeat for vice. We can take a moment. That's fine. Okay, now we are going to repeat for vice chair. Does anyone want to make an appointment for vice chair? Make a nomination for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Medina Ashby for Vice Chair.
And Chair Albana, would you like to speak on that item or pass to Commissioner Medina Ashby?
Commissioner Medina Ashby, would you be willing to serve in that capacity? Yes, I would accept.
Does anyone else wish to comment on this nomination?
I think it's a good choice.
Commissioner Galong, did you want to speak?
Close the nomination and then we can start voting for vice chair. Yep, we're ready to vote for vice chair.
All right, it looks like no one else wants to speak on this nominee. Does anyone want to make any other nominations? Seeing none, does anyone have a motion?
I'll make a motion to nominate Medina Ashby as vice chair.
To clarify, to appoint?
Yes, appoint.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second from Commissioner Galong. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Kong? Aye. Commissioner Hawkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta?
Aye.
Commissioner Medina Ashby?
Aye.
Commissioner Albana?
Aye.
And Commissioner Galong?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a vice chair. Thank you, everyone. So we're going to take a very brief recess to rearrange the chamber and get the chair and vice chair seated appropriately. And then we will proceed under our new chair and vice chair. Thank you.
The recess is break. I'm calling back the meeting to order. Is everybody ready? Okay. So for the next item in the agenda would be for the approval of the meeting of today's agenda. Do I get a motion to approve the agenda for tonight?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do I get a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Kong and Commissioner Calkins. So that has been moved and approved. Our next item would be the approval of the.
Sorry, we need a vote.
Oh, we have to vote. Asking our recording secretary to please take the roll call.
Thank you.
Vote.
Commissioner Kong,
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Gulong,
Aye.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby,
Aye.
and Chair Albana.
Aye.
Thank you.
The next item would be the approval of the minutes, the past minutes of January the 10th and January the 24th, 2024. Do I get a motion first to approve the minutes for January 10th, 2024?
Make a motion to approve the minutes for January 10th, 2024.
Second. Thank you, Commissioner Calkins and Commissioner.
Commissioner Medina Ashby, for the January 10th minutes, you'll have to abstain because you
Oh,
were
wow.
present.
Oh, yes. Yes, separate. So I have a motion from Commissioner Calkins. I need a second.
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Gupta. And now, how about for the January 24th, 2020? I need a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for January 24th, 2024.
Thank you, Commissioner Calkins. Do I get a second?
Sorry, don't we need a
Have to
vote?
Vote
Okay.
for each meeting. Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Rich. For the meeting, minutes of the meeting approval on January 10, we need a vote.
Commissioner Kong,
Abstain.
Commissioner Owasti is absent, Commissioner Hawkins,
Aye.
aye. Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Gulong,
Aye.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby,
Abstain.
and Chair Albana.
I abstain on both meetings. I was not present.
Yeah.
So how many votes do we have?
6. Oh, no,
Three.
3 or 4, I'm sorry.
So it passes.
3 and 3.
3 and 3. Just clarifying. For January 10, how many voted?
Three abstain, 3 votes. 2. Did you abstain?
So really fast. Anyone who has watched that meeting, even if they weren't personally present, has sufficient information to be able to vote on the item and is not obligated to abstain. If someone does not believe they have sufficient information and therefore is abstaining, they can do that.
City Attorney, I had viewed the video of both January 10 and 24th in my endeavor to be able to know what was going on. So I watched the video. So can I vote?
Yes, you can. If you feel sufficiently informed to be able to approve the minutes, you can vote on them.
All right. So I'm aye on both minutes of the meeting.
Well, I think what we have to do is take
the vote.
that vote again. I think there is a little bit of lack of clarity, but I think we can get there.
Correct. Okay. So can I have a motion for approving the minutes of the meeting of January 10, 2024?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 24th, 2024 meeting.
Was that January 10th?
January 10th.
10th first.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from January 10th, 2024.
I second.
Thank you. Commissioner Calkins and Commissioner Gupta. So do we have a vote? Let's call a vote.
Yes. Commissioner Kong,
Abstain.
Commissioner Culkin,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Glong,
Aye.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby,
Abstain.
and Chair Albana.
Aye.
Thank you.
And let me have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting for January the 24th, 2024.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for the January 24th, 2024 meeting.
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Calkins and Commissioner Medina Aspi. Let's take a vote.
Commissioner Kong,
Abstain.
Commissioner Culkin,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Glong,
Abstain.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby,
Aye.
and Chair Albana.
Aye.
Thank
Thank you. Ms. Medina, for the next item would be announcements. Does any of the commissioners have any announcements? And planning commissioners, any announcements you have for the city or encouragement for our Milpitas citizens? While you're thinking, maybe I would, if you give you more time, maybe I'd like to say something, if I may, that I would like to say I'm very thankful for the services of former Chair Bill Chuan and Vice Chair Larry Ciradella. I'm grateful for their services and dedication that they had given us in the past years, serving the Planning Commission, including the community of Milpitas. And so I would also like to include, of course, our former Commissioner Zeya, and she's no longer with us, but she's moved on. And I would like to say thank you very much to all of them. And I very appreciate how they had helped serve in our commission. We had learned from each other, and I give them the blessing, God's blessing, that they will continue to endeavor in being active in our community so that we can still be a happy city. So thank you so much, Bill Chuan and Larry, and also Zeya. Thank you so much. And I'd also like to welcome the new commissioners, Commissioner, what's this, Pong, and also Commissioner Calkins. And I've worked a couple of meetings with Commissioner Gupta. Thank you so much and welcome to the team. We're here to serve and also see how we can bring something to the table for the city of Milpitas and our commission. Thank you so much. And also, of course, our city attorney, our planning director, and our Ms. recording secretary. Thank you so much for the opportunity, for being, giving us this opportunity to serve together. Thank you. The next agenda, or is there any other announcements? Planning director, please.
No announcements. Thank you.
For our next agenda item, let me read this. Members of the public are invited to speak on any item that does not appear on today's agenda. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes or less at the chair's discretion. When called to speak, you are encouraged to state your name for the record, As an item not listed on the agenda, no action can be taken. However, the Planning Commission may instruct the staff to place the item on a future meeting agenda. With that said, we can proceed to the next item, public hearing. Ms. Medina, do we have?
Sorry, you need to ask if there is anyone here for public comment.
Is there anyone from the public? For public comments, Ms. Medina?
I have not received any speaker cards.
Thank you, Ms. Medina. So our next agenda for this evening, our next item would be the public hearing for X-1, the new hillside residence on 500 Vista Spring Court. Planning Director.
Thank you, Chair Albana. Good evening, Commissioners. The first item before you is for a site development permit for a new single-family home at 500 Vista Spring Court in the hillside. We have Associate Planner Randy Baez here to deliver the presentation and answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Lee, and good evening, Commissioners and members of the public. My name is Randy Baez, Associate Planner with the City of Milpitas. The item before you is a request for a site development permit to develop a new single-family residence located in the Hillside Combining District at 500 Vista Spring Court. The applicant is requesting a site development permit to develop a 5,963 square foot, two-story single-family residence on a 2.3 acre vacant lot. The project includes a fence exception to allow for a non-wood fence along the driveway. The proposal also includes a 183 square foot detached pool house, in-ground pool, landscaping, and associated site improvements. The project site is located in the single-family hillside zoning district. As a result, this application will require recommendation from the Planning Commission and approval from the City Council. This is an aerial image of the project site and is located by the southeastern edge of the city. The project site is located north of Vista Ridge Drive and at the end of Vista Spring Court, which is accessed off of Calaveras Road. The property is part of the Spring Valley Heights subdivision development, which is a gated community with a homeowners association. This subdivision includes 26 lots, including one that is an open space parcel, which surrounds the subdivision to the south and east. This is the zoning map of the property. The project site and neighboring properties are zoned R1H, or single family residential hillside. The general plan land use designation for the project site and surrounding properties is hillside low density, or HLD, and the home is located east of the crest line where two-story homes are permitted up to a maximum height of 27 feet. Here we see a site plan of the proposed project. The home faces southeast towards Vista Springs Court, which you can see here in the bottom right. The lot is approximately 2.3 acres, which allows for a maximum of 10,000 square feet of impervious surface coverage, and approximately 9,300 square feet is proposed. The primary building layout is shown here in blue, the garage and pool house in yellow, permeable surfacing in gray, and other impervious surfaces in red. The new residence will be located on a pentagonal downsloping lot where the primary structure is situated on the flattest portion of the lot, especially considering the average slope of 30%. The project will have 2 floors and outdoor amenities, including an in-ground pool that is terraced down into the hillside towards the middle rear portion of the lot. Due to the significant slope of the site, the driveway is proposed to be built on stilts and will have a steel guardrail along the edges. The driveway is approximately 90 feet long and 39 feet wide and follows the downhill slope terrain leading to the attached 2-car garages. The applicant worked closely with the Milpitas Fire Department to find alternatives for adequate fire truck access for the new residence, as the slope of the primary driveway is too steep for fire trucks. Through collaborative meetings with staff, the applicant was able to identify alternatives, including a fire access path along the northeastern and southeastern edge of the project site, which is depicted on sheet A11 of the project plans. And if you can continue, you'll see a enlarged version of the site plan here. Next. And this is a floor plan of the proposed first floor. This will include the two attached two-car garages, one of which is located slightly below this floor due to the slope of the lot. The garages and detached pool house are shown in yellow. The living areas are shown in blue and include 3 bedrooms, a mudroom, an office, 3.5 bathrooms, a dining room, living room, and kitchen. This upper half floor plan features additional living area, including the primary bedroom, 2 additional bedrooms, and a laundry room. This floor plan also more clearly shows the proposed driveway, which leads to 2 attached garages, again, due to the slope of the site. These images show the rendered front elevations as seen from the private street and from the end of the driveway looking towards the house. The proposed residence will be at a maximum height to the top of the roof as measured from lowest finished grade at 27 feet. The applicant is also requesting a fence exception regarding the proposed materials for something other than wood. In this case, the proposed metal fence along the driveway will act as a guardrail, which will serve as a necessary safety precaution for vehicles accessing the site. The proposed fence will still meet the requirement of 75% transparency and will have a maximum height of 3.5 feet. This image shows the rendered elevation at the rear of the site with the pool house and in-ground pool in the foreground. The slope of the roof was designed as such to match the grading of the site. The project is designed as a contemporary ranch home terraced onto the existing hillside slope. The design has received preliminary approval by the Spring Valley Heights HOA Architectural Review Committee. And here are the proposed building materials, as well as the materials for the proposed fence / guardrail along the driveway. Materials for the house are simple rustic board and batten siding, punctuated with stone and window wall accents. The roof is asphalt shingle. The colors and materials proposed are complementary to the character of the rural neighboring residences, but will also add to the diversity of the neighborhood. Here are some of the proposed landscaping details. A site visit was conducted and confirmed the site is a vacant lot, except for a small patch of trees that will remain undisturbed. All proposed landscaping materials are low to moderate water use. The project will incorporate landscaping improvements throughout the site with drought-tolerant and low water use plants. 5 new trees and a mix of shrubs are proposed, as shown here. Overall, the proposed landscaping meets the intent of the hillside ordinance. Here is a copy of the civil plans for the project. As mentioned previously, the existing lot has an average slope of 30%. Due to the steep slopes and vehicular access requirements, the applicant has requested that the site be graded in order to make the site feasible for residential development. In order to limit the amount of grading, the applicant designed the 2-story residence to have 2 terraced floors stepping down into the existing downhill topography. The project is anticipated to result in approximately 465 cubic yards of excavation and 400, which will be reused on site. Only 49 cubic yards are anticipated to be exported off-site. Per the municipal code, the development plan with grading in excess of 500 cubic yards, thus cumulatively requires Planning Commission review. On this slide, I wanted to summarize the main hillside development standards the proposal needs to meet. This is also Table 4 and the attached staff report. The proposed residence will be 2 stories with a max height of 27 feet and will be 5,963 square feet in area, which is compliant with the hillside's development standard. of a 6,000 square foot maximum size of the main house and 27-foot height limit. The proposed total impervious surface will be 9,369 square feet, which will be compliant with the hillside's maximum impervious surface coverage of 10,000 square feet. In summation, the proposal is consistent with all development standards for the hillside zoning ordinance. Due to the slope of the site, the driveway is proposed to be built on stilts and will have a steel guardrail along the edges. The driveway is approximately 90 feet long and 39 feet wide at the widest point and follows the downhill slope terrain. The metal guardrails were deemed necessary due to safety concerns. Otherwise, the fence conforms to the height limit of 54 inches and the required open work design of 75% visual transparency. As part of the requirements of the hillside zoning ordinance, the applicant must demonstrate compliance with this section to preserve the natural quality of the crestline and the slopes as viewed from the valley floor. In other words, it is trying to ensure that any portion of the new residence will not be seen from these three viewpoints to maintain the natural character of the hillside from the public vantage points. This applicant has demonstrated compliance by providing diagrams in the project plans as required by the Hillside Code, which states that the applicant shall submit cross-sections from each of the three closest viewpoints from the site. There is a GIS layer that shows where all 9 viewpoints are within the city, and this site includes sectional views to demonstrate the house will not be visible from the valley floor. The nearest points for this residence are viewpoints 7, 8, and 9, and this graphic is highlighting that the proposed house will be on the other side on a lower elevation of these hills that you can see in the pictures on the left, and therefore will not be visible from the lower elevation. In other words, if you were to stand from these three viewpoints looking up towards the hillside, an existing hill as shown will block views of the proposed house from the valley floor. The new residence will also be about 2,000 feet east of the higher hill and will be constructed on a lower elevation than the highest point of the hills. And these viewpoints are about 2 miles away. In summary, the new residence will not be visible from these public viewpoints as it will be tucked behind the hillside at a lower elevation than the highest point of the hill by at least 200 feet. The proposed project is categorically exempt from environmental review under the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, in accordance with CEQA guidelines section 15303A for new construction or conversion of small structures, and section 15183 for projects consistent with a community plan, general plan, or zoning. A notice was published in the Milpitas Post and at City Hall, as well as the city's website. 25 postcards were sent to property owners within 300 feet of the project site. A sign was also posted at the project site. No comments have been received to date. Staff has confirmed that the project meets the findings associated with a site development permit as set out in the Milpitas Municipal Code. Those findings have been discussed in the staff report and are addressed in the resolution. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission open and close the public hearing and adopt Resolution 24-008, recommending the City Council approve the site development permit number SD 23-0005 to allow the construction or development of a single-family residence in the single-family Hillside zoning district, subject to the findings and attached conditions of approval. This concludes staff's summary of the project. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And furthermore, the project applicant team, including the architect, should be available for any questions. And I believe they have a presentation as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bice. Would any of the architects or the owner and applicant say something? Welcome.
Hello. Hi, my name is Michael Tom. I'm the architect for this project. I think we have a series of 10 slides that I'd like to actually just have projected up. I think the main slide here is going to be the view from the street. This view is towards the northwest, towards Fremont and Hayward, and that is the main view line for this house. So it also coincides with the contours of the actual hillside residence. So if you can go on to the next slide. The view of the actual house presents a very, I guess, a very subdued ranch style house with the bulk of the actual residence then following hillside contour. And then, and also to actually then allow for viewpoints of the actual valley floor towards the northwest, towards Hayward. So the pool deck is going to be, and where we actually have the main residence. The next slide is going to be the main entrance, and then the next slide after that is going to be the pool deck, and this main residence bedroom is going to be where the main view will be from. I think the next two slides are of the actual pool deck itself. This is going to be the areas in the back of house. And the next slide after that then is also an area where the house is actually set back from. It is also the area, yes, it is also the area in which it will allow for fire department access to the south side of the actual residence. And then the next three slides show the massing of the house as it cascades down along the 30% slope that is the actual hillside. So yeah, and then the next one then actually just shows it progressing along the hillside. So that's our main residence. That's our project. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, architect. Is there any questions that some of the commissioners would have towards the architect here, or even Mr. Bias, the planner? Go ahead, Commissioner.
Oh, okay. First of all, I saw one two-car garage in one of the main elevation pictures that you showed. Where is the second two-car garage? Can you show where the two-car garages are?
Go back to the third from main slide.
So
the last slide. Oh, actually, so the garage that's actually on the left-hand side is actually at the main floor.
right.
And then the garage that's at the far right-hand side actually tucks in underneath the main floor. And the driveway that connects to the garage on the left also connects to the driveway on the right. It just slopes further downhill. So there's one garage that services the main level and one that's actually going to be directly beneath the main level. You won't necessarily see it in that view. It's to, oh, actually, if you go back to that axon, one more slide. This one here. Oh, it is that area that's right to the right.
Okay, that wasn't clear. Yeah, okay. All right. And I have another question. So when from the architect, so what were some of the challenges you faced in meeting with the city codes and trying to design this house?
The house hews to the building height limit of 27 feet, which means that the hillside slope helps to define the actual house massing. So at any given point, the house will be below 27 feet, and that's in part because it follows hillside contour. That's item one. Item two is the owner intends to age in place with this residence. And so the primary objective is that the main floor provides for all of the specific amenities, that they're not going up and down a set of stairs into the garage or up and down a set of stairs into their bedrooms as they age in place.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Galang?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I have a question to the architect. I have a question. Um, I saw that there's a patio on the pool area, right? Can you show me the pictures?
Um,
Hold on.
it's the fourth slide. One slide back. Yes. So that's the primary view from the actual pool house. The pool, of course, is on the right-hand side.
Okay. My concern is I've seen in the YouTube, like in different countries, that the balconies and patios have collapsed. Like, in how many you think how many people can fit, or you think that's strong to hold for 10 people, 20 people on that patio?
I mean, at the end of the day, the swimming pool
No, on the patio.
on the patio.
Yes.
I mean, it will be engineered for an assembly load, of course. So we do anticipate that we will size any structural considerations to accommodate for a party.
Um. So I'm saying, what material or what kind of thing that you can support, that patio with more stable.
There
But
will likely be a retaining wall that supports the swimming pool. One that actually then, because the hillside in this image is high on the right-hand side, low on the left-hand side, there will be a retaining wall that then hews to the hillside on the right-hand side, and then probably hews to the height of the actual pool on the left. And then there will also likely be structural supports that then provides for static loads for the actual pool deck.
thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Galang. Anybody else? Commissioner Kong.
Thank you. So this question is for the architect also. For the selection of the fence material that you're asking for an exception, can you share with us what is the durability and maintenance of that fence?
It's a metal, galvanized metal fence with a pattern. I think that it's inside Planner Bez's presentation. But it's a galvanized metal. There will be periodic maintenance in terms of corrosion resistance or just weather protection, applying weather protection. So as with any metal surface, it will have some degree of maintenance. Less so because it will be a galvanized steel.
And has this been used? This material has been used in this community before? Do you know from prior architecture review with the HOA if there's any concerns there with this material exception that you're asking from us today?
Admittedly not. I wouldn't have any specifics.
And I have one other question is regarding the excavation and grading plan. Is the entire section that's going to be graded being supported by the retaining wall? Or is there other landscaping that is going to help with making sure that
There
is no risk?
there is cut and fill that's happening. It's not all going to be supported by retaining wall. There is retaining wall that's at the far south side of the actual site, and you would be able to see that with slide 8. So there will be a series of retaining walls that we hew closely to the height limits for what they are. And then the rest are going to be cutting and filling that will happen on site. Yes, that the retaining wall that's on your left side is actually the south retaining wall. We hew to height limits for the retaining wall in question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kong. We have Randy who would like to maybe address the question.
Yes, thank you, Chair Habana. So in regards to the question for the fence, I am not certain about other neighbors having used a galvanized metal fence, but we have recently approved other fence exceptions to allow for non-wood fences, specifically wrought iron fences. And Ms. Medina, I believe we have a slide in my presentation, the very last slide, that shows pictures of some of those existing fences. It might be a hidden slide, by the way. Yeah, that is all.
Maybe I'd like to add a question, Mr. Vice. May I? So the fence would be like kind of see-through, transparent, that you could see the grass and you could see nature.
Yeah, so it would still maintain the 75% transparency that is typically required.
Awesome. Maybe can I ask another question to Mr. Vice here? Normally, when you have like a 2.3 acre lot, what is the allowable percentage where you can build and develop?
The building square footage would be limited to 10,000 square feet, or the impervious coverage. Apologies. The building itself would be limited to 6,000 square feet for a size like this.
And we have a total, including the garage, of about 7,000, 7,093 square feet.
For impervious coverage, I believe so. Ms. Medina, if you could pull up the development standards table one more time. Yeah, so including the garages and the pool house, along with all of the driveways and the part of the deck that is impervious, it is still below the 10,000 square feet maximum. But for the main residence itself is just below the 6,000 square foot maximum.
I could add, Chair Albana. In other words, the garage and pool house count towards the impervious surfaces, but not towards the size of the main residence, which is the limit, 6,000 square feet, which is referring to the size of the main residence.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you so much. Yes, at least that's an input. So the pool is not included. That's an
The pool would count towards the impervious surface.
count. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Planning Director. I had just a comment or a question. Since this is in a slope, in a hillside, we of course want to always make sure that the families or the guests of these families are for their safety. I had a quick question with regards to when you grade it, we make sure that the ground doesn't get soft. So all of that is taken care of by the engineering department and architecture where it will be stable if there's, because, we have this global warming and things with all the rains coming in, it gets soft. And we just want to make sure that, it has its good foundation.
We do have a civil engineer that actually helped us prepare documents for planning review, and we will have him retained through the course of the permitting process. And then we are in the process of onboarding our structural engineer. So the all static design we anticipate will be well engineered.
Yeah, and also for safety and protection, I was just wanting to ask Mr. Randy Bice here if when having a pool, do you require the owner or applicant to make sure that there's security measures where nobody will fall and drown? There's a cover and everything?
Yes, there is a very specific California building code section towards open pools. We will review and meet or exceed any requirements.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there any, Commissioner Calkins? Yes?
This might be for Randy too, but just again, kind of to your point about the safety aspect. Knowing that there's geo issues up in the hills and fault lines in the area, does that area have any fault lines within the community at all? That might be for Randy to.
Thank you, Commissioner Calkins. I don't know that answer off the top of my head, but our land development and engineering departments have reviewed the projects. If there was a fault line near the project site, they would have added specific conditions of approval for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bice, and also Commissioner Calkins. Is there any other comment? Seeing none, do we open it for any public comments? Very least.
Chair Albana, I have not received any speaker cards for this.
Can I ask if there's anybody here who would like to make a comment? Seeing none, I'd like to say something, a comment wherein I'm very happy that the staff, of course, and everybody had considered, like the retaining wall. I see that's very important. And considering the crest line, especially that you had put into lowering the first floor so that it can meet the crest line requirements, that is something that I've seen very well in the design. So that's all I was going to comment. Would anybody then, can I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
And anybody to second closing the public hearing?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Kong and Commissioner Galang. Vote.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kong,
Thank you.
Aye.
Commissioner Calkins,
Yeah, approve.
this is to close public comment.
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Galang, Vice Chair Medina Ashby,
Aye.
Chair Albana.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Congratulations. Thank you.
Sorry, that was just to close the public
Okay.
comment. If there is any discussion among the members, and then if anyone wants to call for a motion on the question, they can.
Thank you. So is there anybody who wants to make a motion for approving? You could read the,
I'll make an motion to adopt resolution 24-008 for approving this particular site permit, SD 23005, to allow construction of a single family residence in the single family hillside zoning district. subject to the findings and attached conditions of approval.
Do I get a second?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Calkins and Commissioner Medina Asby.
Commissioner Kong,
Aye.
Commissioner Colkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta, Commissioner Galong,
Aye.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby,
Aye.
and Chair Albana.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. So it passes. Congratulations. Thank you. Next item, we have X2 76 gas station remodel, beer and wine sales request on Park Victoria Drive. Yeah. And I invite who's going to present it.
Uh,
Also, our planner, Mr. Bai, is here. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Albana. And yes, I am back for one more project. This is this item before you is a request for a site development permit to redevelop an existing 76 gas station and a conditional use permit request to allow the sales of alcoholic beverages at 27 South Park Victoria Drive. The applicant is requesting a site development permit to redevelop the 76 gas station on a 0.4 acre site. The project proposes to demolish the existing 1,138 square foot building and construct a new 2,460 square foot convenience store within the majority of the existing footprint. The applicant is also requesting a conditional use permit to allow for off-site sales of beer and wine consistent with an alcoholic beverage control or ABC type 20 permit. The project includes the removal of an existing automobile service bay, minor facade improvements, and other site improvements. This is an aerial image of the project site and is located near the city center at the corner of South Park Victoria Drive and East Calaveras Boulevard. The project can be accessed off of South Park Victoria Drive to the east, as well as Dempsey Road to the south. The aerial shows the convenience store to the left, which will be remodeled. The gas station pumps on the right will remain as is. This is the zoning map of the property. The project site and neighboring properties are zoned C1 for neighborhood commercial. The property to the north is zoned C2 for general commercial, and the general plan land use designation for the project site and the surrounding properties is neighborhood commercial mixed use or NCMU. Here we see a site plan of the proposed project. As part of the site development permit, the applicant is requesting to develop an existing gas station by increasing the size of the convenience store and making a few site improvements such as new landscaping, relocated parking spaces, and a new trash enclosure. The landscaping is shown here on the left, and the existing parking spaces along Calaveras Boulevard will be set back by 10 feet to provide a much needed landscape buffer between on-site parking and a major thoroughfare. The existing gas station pumps, canopy, and 3 driveways will remain. A new 3-bin trash enclosure is also proposed at the rear of the site, closest to Dempsey Road, and will be painted to match the proposed gas station and convenience store. A 6-foot-high wood fence is also proposed along the western property line here on the bottom to provide additional security between the project site and the adjacent commercial shopping center. And the new convenience store will feature 2 freezers, a snack area, a hot food area, bathrooms, and a cash register area for employees. An approximately 56 square foot office will be located near the cashier and will be used also only for employees. Next slide. The gas station incorporates a mixture of high quality stucco, earth toned materials, and corrugated metal accents. The stucco will have a smooth finish and will be painted white shadow and blue harmony. Exterior wall lighting is proposed, but will be shielded to prevent glare on adjacent properties and provide attractive site lighting as well. Here are the proposed building materials. Earth-toned materials will be used along with the metal accents, and the proposed colors and materials are complementary to the character of the neighboring properties. Here are some of the proposed landscaping details. A 10-foot landscape buffer is proposed along Calaveras that will help minimize the visual impact of vehicles from the public streets. This area will be landscaped with a mixture of variegatum, shrubs, and ground cover. A new Tuscarora tree is also proposed at the corner of the project site, shown here in the top right, near South Park, Victoria, and Dempsey Road. No changes to the on-site signs are proposed at this time. Next, here are the development standards for the C1 zone. As you can see, the project meets or exceeds all development standards. The proposed building is anticipated to be 22 feet in height, which is below the 35-foot height maximum. And the trash enclosure as well will be below the maximum height. The applicant is also requesting the sale of beer and wine consistent with an ABC license type 20. The CUP request was routed to the Milpitas Police Department for review, and here are some of those conditions. The beer and wine sold at the listed address shall be placed in a conspicuous location, but no closer than 5 feet from the cash register per California law, and kept in a location that is visible to store employees. And a high definition security camera system shall supplement the area where the beer and wine are sold to prevent any potential thefts from occurring. Additional conditions can be found within the conditions of approval in attachment A. The project is located within ABC Census Tract 5044.18, which currently authorizes 2 off-sale license permits. Off-sale permits refer to sales of alcoholic beverages for off-site consumption. Because this project tract currently has 4 active off-sale licenses, it is considered to have an undue concentration. For ABC to grant another license, the applicant must demonstrate the proposed use would serve the public convenience or necessity per the Business and Professions Code. The City of Milpitas uses this CUP process to determine if a proposed use would serve the public convenience and necessity. In our findings, the city finds this request helps encourage a diverse mix of commercial uses, allowing for off-site sales of beer and wine, would allow for the convenience of being the only gas station within the census tract to sell alcohol. The police department has provided conditions of approval that will increase the effectiveness of crime prevention at this area. And the project is also located near the I-680 freeway, which will provide a convenience for traveling customers or customers driving from out of town. Staff have also created this map, which shows the census tract as well as the existing off-sale ABC permits, which include both type 20 and 21. Type 21 permits include the sales of spirits as well as beer and wine. Census tract 5044.18 is generally bounded by Calaveras Boulevard to the north, Temple Drive to the east, Yosemite Drive to the south, and the I-680 freeway to the west. The proposed project is categorically exempt from environmental review under the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, in accordance with CEQA guidelines section 15302B for replacement or reconstruction, and section 15183 for projects consistent with a community plan, general plan, or zoning. A notice was also published in the Milpitas Post and at City Hall, as well as the city's website. 434 postcards were sent to property owners within 1,000 feet of the project site. A sign was also posted at the project site. One comment in support of the project has been received to date, and I believe that was printed for the commissioner's convenience. Next slide. Staff has confirmed that project meets the findings associated with a site development permit as set out in the Milpitas Municipal Code. Those findings have been discussed in the staff report and are addressed in the resolution. Likewise, staff has confirmed that the project meets the findings associated with the conditional use permit as set out in the Milpitas Municipal Code, and those findings are also discussed in the staff report and are addressed in the resolution. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission open and close the public hearing and adopt Resolution 24-009, approving site development permit number SD 22-0010 and conditional use permit number UP 23-0014, subject to the findings and attached conditions of approval. This concludes staff's summary of the project. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and the project applicant team, including the property owner, are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bice. I guess we had kept you very busy with 2 projects. Huh? Thank you. Anyway, any comments from the commissioners or any questions? I should say questions first. Attorney, Commissioner.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a question about in the design just now, I didn't see the propane tanks that are over by the Dempsey Road for filling propane. Is that still going to be at that station? I use it a lot.
Yes.
You can, yes. Please press it.
Sorry. Yes, the propane tanks will still be there. Yes, Ms. Medina, if you could pull back the site plan. It is just being relocated to the rear of the site, so it can be accessed off of Dempsey Road.
Thank you, Commissioner Hawkins. I have a question. I was just wondering if in the future, would there be a chance to add additional gas pumps? Is it allowable to add more in the future? Or basically you've maxed it out at the 4 gas pumps? For Randy.
Yes, thank you, Chair Albana. I believe they would have sufficient room for additional gas pumps, but that expansion would likely require a new conditional use permit.
Another thing I wanted to ask Mr. Bice here is, while considering applicants like this for the beer and the spirits, wine, do you ever consider what are the nearest schools or maybe daycares? What is the rule to that? How far can daycares be or childcare be? What is the rule there? So I learn more, so that for you to be able to consider an application like this.
Sure. So unfortunately, our development code standards do not have a minimum distance from similar uses such as schools. I did research the site, and the nearest school is located about 500 feet away from the project site. That would be down the street off of Calveras Boulevard. But there is no minimum setback between uses such as that.
So if I was a resident and I wanted to have like a daycare or open a daycare close by, will I be able to do that as long as I'm not, quote unquote, not within 500 feet from the gas station?
That would be considered, yes. But ultimately, it wouldn't be a yes or a no. It'd be a case-by-case basis.
because my idea on is basically like, while we like the development and the improvement of our neighbor there by having a very nice convenience store through the 76 gas station, I also want it to be open to the neighborhood to be able to also develop their businesses or have more businesses. But as long as we know more or less what would be the distance that people can also have other businesses thriving around the area. So anyway, you answered it. Thank you, Mr. Vice. Any other questions for?
May I make a comment about that?
Yes.
I think, even grocery stores, most of the grocery stores have liquor. And so I don't think there's any restriction in terms of distance to nearby schools and stuff like that. So,
Good point.
Yeah.
Commissioner. Yes, Commissioner Kong.
Yes. So I want to maybe offer a comment on what Commissioner Gupta just said. Because I did get a chance to look at the Alcohol and Beverage Control Act on the official website. And it does say that when there are churches, hospitals, or schools nearby, they can deny license under the circumstances of adjacency to this types of uses. So, it's not saying that there is a strict rule, but there is a recommendation. Just wanted to bring it up, put it out there.
Thank you, Commissioner Kong. We just wanted, yes, go ahead.
I do have one more kind of clarifying question for Mr. Vice. Prior to this meeting, I did request for additional information, and that information is more towards if you're able to share any DUI trends in the city of Milpitas, because that will help us understand if adding additional alcohol license, especially in an area where you have shown an undue concentration, will be safe for the community.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Kong. That is a good question. I did reach out to our colleagues from the police department for additional information, and they did let us know that there were 9 DUI-related arrests within the area in the past year. Unfortunately, I don't have any more detailed information for how that compares to the rest of the city. However, for context, they did provide that the entire state of California had approximately 100,000 DUI-related arrests last year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice, and also Commissioner Kong. Go ahead.
It's probably
Commissioner.
not a good one. Where's the taco truck gonna go? I love that taco truck.
Yes, where's the taco truck going to go?
Don't know, not there? It's gone?
Thank you, Vice Chair. That is a good question. I believe the property owner might be there and might be able to better assist with that question.
Sorry, what was the question?
Where's the taco truck gonna go? There's a taco truck there. And it's probably been there for about 4 years now, since like maybe since COVID, and I love that.
Yes, we want to make all the citizens happy. Welcome.
The taco truck, they don't have long-term lease. So we have to look at if they have customer or not, and depend on the owner of the taco truck. They did, because taco trucks sometimes slowly the neighbor, they are no longer have that kind of design. I see it lately, it slowed down. So I don't know, is that they're going to continue the business or not? Okay.
I have a couple of things.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, should I go ahead?
Yes, Commissioner Gupta.
Okay. First of all, I think this is the southwest corner of that intersection even though the document package we got said southeast corner, was really southwest corner. I've been going to this gas station fairly often, so I know the location. And you mentioned that the autos, there was auto service shop as part of it. That's going to be removed. So that's just something you are going to sacrifice. That's not good for your business.
Well, actually, we are thinking about the environment as well as just neighbor. Therefore, the owner decided to just remove that one and just add it.
But can you talk a little louder, please?
Okay, we are just thinking about the neighborhood and also environment, and the owner decided to just remove that one and just add it to convenience store for better serve.
Okay, and one last question. So does this liquor, do you need a separate license from any other agency besides the city approval? Do you need any other potential approval for the liquor license?
Let me ask the owner, do you need I think they need a license for that, for the liquor.
I'm sorry?
Yes, I think they do.
They do.
For the license.
Have you taken
for
that
the
approval
beer
already?
and the wine. If they don't have it, they have to just apply for it.
So you'll get that afterwards, is that what you're saying?
Yes, I'm an architect, I'm not, in that business, so I don't know, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Our planning director has something to say.
Yes, the applicant will have to get an ABC license from the Alcohol Beverage Control. And it is a requirement. And Alcohol Beverage Control, once they receive the application, will also confirm with city staff to make sure that any use permits were approved. So we review that as well.
Thank you, planning director.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, architect. Any other questions?
I have a question, Chair.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Baez? Randy?
Yes.
Yeah, if I'm coming from Calaveras, if I'm going to the convenience store, can I take that entrance from Calaveras or should go around the Dempsey Road?
Yes, if you're driving eastward on East Calaveras, you'd be turning right onto South Park Victoria, and South Park Victoria has two driveways. The easiest parking to get to the convenience store would be on the first driveway. And then you can park along the parking spaces along East Calaveras. So they'd be similar to how the parking spaces are arranged right now, but those will be set back just to 10 feet to allow for that landscape planter.
In front of convenience store, there is a parking space, right? Then how many parking spaces?
I believe there are 9, including 2 handicap spaces. 8 spaces, apologies.
What restroom are they required to have restroom inside the convenience store?
It would not be a planning requirement, but they will be providing restrooms.
Inside the convenience store or outside the convenience store?
Inside.
Right. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Galang. I have a question for Mr. Baez. We have from 1,138 square feet to be improved to 2,460. What is the area of the whole lot?
It is 0.4 acres.
I see. And then, so you have given them the maximum for their parking? Did they maximize their parking for 2,400 square feet development?
They were more limited by required setbacks, I would say. They might have been able to increase their square footage a bit more, but not by much if they wanted to include the required trash enclosure, for example, and the propane as well.
Did you require them to get any shared parking from maybe a neighbor or across the street from Ocean Supermarket.
No, no shared parking was required.
So they just met the requirements, right?
Yes,
Okay, good. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Any other questions before we open it to public for questions? Yes.
I have a question to Mr. Bice again. Has the city reached out to Milpitas Unified School District for their comments, since there is a school, Calaveras High School, that is within 500 feet from the project?
No, we did not reach out to the school district. However, notices were sent out to all property owners within 1,000 feet of the site, which would have included them.
Thank you, Commissioner Kong. I would think there's a liquor store across. Ocean Supermarket sells liquor, right? But I think we should also make our standards strict, that even if they are all around us, I think this is just my suggestion is, I think they should also make it a point to do a little survey and calling up and making sure that the community knows. And I know we mailed out things, postcards and everything, but that would be a good precaution of, knowing that it's also serving as competition for everybody. And we'll have people buying booze, right? And then they go to the freeway, easy access to the freeway, and then cause traffic. So anyway, it was just a comment, sorry. Anyway, do I open it to the public questions now? Can we, is there any public? Do I have to make a motion? No, can I take any public comments from here? Yes. Yes, do we have any other comments here and also maybe online?
No online comments are accepted, and I have not received any speaker cards for this project.
Thank you, Ms. Medina. Anybody here? If not, then I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make the motion to close public.
Any second?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Kong and Commissioner Gupta. So let's take a vote.
Commissioner Kong,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Galang,
Can I make a comment before I start to question or?
I think you can do a comment. This is only for questions. Then we have a time for comment.
Thank you. Aye.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby,
Aye.
and Chair Albana.
Aye.
Thank you.
So if any of the commissioners would like to make their comments now, so that we would know if we're going to approve. So any comments from the commissioners?
That there's a hotel behind near this property. Way back, maybe 20 years ago, there's a lot of crime going on. Did we receive or do you have any report, any crime up for the past 5 years, 3 years on that area?
I don't know. Mr. Vice, would you be able to answer that if you had any survey or if the police department has any surveys on that?
Yes, thank you, commissioners. I did reach out to the police department requesting that information, but unfortunately I did not receive it before this meeting. However, I can follow up with you and provide that information at a later time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vice. Any other comment?
Chair,
Chair.
if I may speak. And the Milpitas Police Department and the plans and the application was routed to them. So typically when considering these applications involving a safety component, they do typically look at the crime data in the area. But we just have not received the data ourselves yet, but we could go, we could ask for that. But that is something that the police department typically considers in reviewing and suggest conditions of approval based off of the context.
Thank you, Planning Director. Any other comments? Commissioner Kong?
I wanted to share my personal opinion about adding new licenses, especially when we already have an undue concentration in a small corner of just one census tract. We already have 4, and we're adding another one, and all the other 4 are within walking distance of our high school. And there is also a new high school that is opening this fall that is going to add 500 students to the innovation campus. I'm sure if you drive down Calaveras Road, you would see that new campus under construction. So with increase of a lot of teenagers and minors in that area, I took a step to go look up the state survey, because they do a survey of every school every 2 years, including substance use among students. And I did find a concerning trend. I mean, I do see that Calaveras Hills High School has been trending above state average as far as the number of students who uses alcohol. And because of that, I do agree with what Chair Albana said earlier. Although we don't have restriction, I mean, we don't have zoning guidance today, we might want to consider looking into it in the future, how we treat, new license applications, especially when we are near sensitive users like daycare and schools and so on. So that's just my personal feedback and comment. And I do wanted to ask the applicants, I'm not sure if this is the time to ask the applicant.
So technically, if we need to draw out new facts, the best way to do that would be to reopen the public hearing, to take those facts and then to close it and go back to discussion. If that's what you're looking for is more facts from someone. If this is just a point of discussion and deliberation on factual matters that have already been introduced, then we can absolutely continue on with the discussion.
Yeah, I'm not asking for new act from as a planning, zoning, anything at this point. It's just for future discussion. But I wanted to see if I can still ask the applicant a question specific to how they're going to help to be a partner for the community to make sure that alcohol sales do not occur towards minors in our community. Is that something that I can ask them directly? Or
So I'll have to open it again, right?
That would be the safest way to do this. So if there's a motion to reopen the public hearing, we can take additional information.
Do I have a motion to open again the public comments and hearing?
I'll make a motion to reopen the public hearing for more additional comments.
Do I get a second?
I second.
Okay.
Commissioner Kong,
aye.
Commissioner Culkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Galal,
Aye.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby,
Aye.
and Chair
Aye.
Albana. Thank you.
Motion passes. Go ahead, Commissioner Kong, to ask the applicant, if we may have the applicant up here, please.
California law very restricts on check ID.
Mhm.
So our employee was training to check the ID. So we've been doing very well on the cigarette. And I believe we can doing very well on the alcohol controls and make sure not selling to the teenager.
Thank you so much. I think I really appreciate your personal kind of validation to that this is something that you hold very important to our community. So thank you for that.
Yes.
So please continue to, check ID for all the alcohol sales.
Yes. Thank you.
I like to show my concern also, like now it has been revisited and I understand a little better. I think this could set up a precedence for all other gas stations to add liquor licenses and sell liquor, because once they see one gas station doing it, it become a more common phenomena. And I think we need to be more careful about that. It might escalate into what we are talking about, in terms of risking exposure to minors more than what it already is.
Thank you for those comments, Commissioner Gupta and Commissioner Kong. Any other from the commissioners? Or any from the public online or here would like to make a comment? Or from Planning Director?
So currently, we're taking factual information. The commission can go back to their discussion, deliberation, their own statements, talking to each other after that. But if we have elicited all the factual information we want, then it'd be appropriate to bring a motion to close the public hearing. And then we can go back to discussions, statements, anything else that the commission wants to do with debate.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Kong,
Aye.
Commissioner Culkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Galang,
Aye.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby,
Aye.
and Chair Albana.
Aye,
Thank you.
thank you.
Currently, we're still in discussions. If there's any more discussion statements or anything else that the commission wants to do, if discussions are complete, then we can call a question.
I have something to say, maybe to consider it in our next meeting or have it agendized, is the point that we are driving at is we don't want it to become easy that liquor can just be dispensed in every corner. That we can make that a standard because we are after, if it's so easy to dispense, it's so easy to buy, then what happens to our young people? What happens to our people who just likes to get alcohol? Because, I know I can buy it from Safeway, but, it takes time to go to Safeway. It's bigger place, it's public, and I might just buy my chocolates, coffee. But making it so easy and convenient, maybe we could come up with that thing to make it less easy to dispense alcohol by, putting some order into qualifying whether in every corner there's convenience store, because we already have a liquor store there. We have Ocean that sells it. So there's a point there, but I just don't know how to drive it within the words. But if we can, Planning Director or attorney, if we can agendize that maybe or bring it up to the council to come up with something like that. We just want to protect the city and everybody's happy and just not.
Yeah, this may be an important issue. I don't know. This is the first case of liquor sale in a gas station in Milpitas. I haven't seen any other station, but I was not looking for one. But so this could be, yeah, you're right. This could be a significant issue because these big grocery stores, they have better control over, checking the IDs and everything else. So a gas station may be a bigger challenge to enforce that.
I don't have the statistics if the city allows or if there are other gas stations that sell liquor. I don't have that information.
Chair,
Go ahead.
yeah, I think we should have a like a machine that they can validate their ID. Anybody could bring their friend's ID and then they can show that like look alike. They should check that or scan their ID. They can validate who wants to purchase that liquor. So I don't know if we have that type of machine that can scan the ID in a liquor store. That's only my suggestion. Thank you.
Chair, Planning Director has something to say.
No, we appreciate the comments and the concerns. I do want to ask Associate Planner Baez to maybe go through some of the conditions of approval that relate to ensuring that operations are safe and that alcohol isn't given away to minors. So Associate Planner Baez could speak to that. I also do want to comment based off of previous suggestions about potentially routing it to the school district or the school. In our regular procedures, we do route certain projects to the school district. So that's something we can consider for ABC licenses. When a school is nearby, we could, instead of just a notice, we could consider routing it through the development review process so they can provide comment. So that's something that we could definitely talk about and explore. But I'll now pass it off to Associate Planner Baez to maybe go over some of the conditions to address some of the concerns.
Sure, thank you, Director Lee. So some of the alcohol-specific conditions of approval for this project include, as mentioned previously, that the beer and wine sold at the site shall be placed in a conspicuous location, but no closer than 5 feet from the cash register per California law. A high definition security camera is also required. Since alcohol will be sold at the premise, the applicant shall ensure all applicable city, county, and state permits are obtained and ABC laws are enforced. This includes the ABC license type 20. Sale of alcoholic beverages are also limited to 6 a.m. and 2 a.m. And between the hours of 2 a.m. and 6 a.m., the store shall secure all alcohol products behind their liquor cabinet or door to reduce the likelihood of any late night thefts. Upon demand from a peace officer, the licensee or responsible person shall immediately surrender the license and cease all sales of alcoholic beverages. Supervision of distribution, sales, and operation of alcoholic beverages shall at all times remain under the control of the applicant's organization, and no other person or entity shall have authority to sell or distribute alcohol. And lastly, conditions may be imposed by the Milpitas Police Department in addition to the Department of ABC conditions. In the event that a local law enforcement agency imposes conditions, the licensee must abide by the most restrictive conditions if there is a conflict in resolution.
Sorry, ma'am, can you come up to the microphone?
Yeah, the gas station have a scanner, scan the driver license. So we make the customer scan it for the cigarette. So I think we can program in back to be checking the alcohol prior to. So we can make them to scan the driver license, make sure they are not underage to buy the alcohol. Yeah.
Can I ask her a question? Can I ask you a direct question? You are expanding, you're making it beautiful. It's a very nice, convenient store and everything. What makes selling liquor a very important aspect of your business? Will it bring 50% of your income?
Yeah, we have the study for that location. Is that good for convenience for all kinds of stuff? So we want to bring convenience to all the customer. And we will close at 11 o'clock or possible 12 o'clock midnight. So I just heard Randy mention about the alcohol can sell from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. We will close and only have the window to sell gasoline to the customer. So we have the attendant during the closing hour and just sell the gasoline from the window, the drawer.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Are we able to, let me ask Attorney Kritz here and Planning Director, are we able to agendize something that we can address to the council or our Planning Commission come up with something we can meet about with regards to discussing gas stations selling liquor, alcohol. I think as a citizen of Milpitas, my part is this. It has nothing to do with showing IDs, having the right lock, locking it. It's very close to the cashier so they could see, or if there's staff, there'll always be staff. The thing here is what my point there is, the word there is making it so easy to make it available, making alcohol so easy to buy because it's just in every corner. Do we find or do we talk about this in having gas stations either not have it all, have a precedent to that? Maybe we can bring that up in another meeting, or maybe we can only approve the design and then get further studies from Randy with regards to what are the requirements or restrictions the city can look in the future. This one might work, but how do we do it in the future?
So ultimately, the city council is the one that sets the development standards, the zoning standards, those kind of things. The commission, when its purview, is allowed to make recommendations for things that the council may want to look into and to prioritize for potential changes, improvements, or updates. So if separate and apart from whatever the commission decides and motions brought on this particular item, if in the new business part of, or either now or in the new business part of the agenda, if someone wanted to bring a motion to bring a recommendation to the council to consider prioritizing study of that, then it would be up to the council to decide whether or not they want to prioritize that study and to make decisions accordingly. But that is something that they could do.
So can we later on make the motion for a partial of that? And then with regards to the liquor license, alcohol license, we do it later?
If we wanted to bring up, if the commission wanted to bring up during the new business section, a motion and a proposal on recommending to the city council consideration and prioritization of some kind of a change, we could do that during the new business section.
But for now, can we move for the approval, excluding the license until it's further studied?
You could deny it tonight if you wanted to deny it without prejudice. You could, for them to bring it back. If there has been further study, you have it available, but the item is up for consideration tonight.
No, only the liquor license. We have to do it all together?
So the way that it ends up working is that for this particular license, it's actually set, this particular decision is actually set by state law. The state law requires the planning department to exercise its discretion on this determination at this time. If the planning department does not exercise its discretion at this time, then it reverts back to the ABC to make the decision if they don't make it within a fixed period of time. So that's why I'm saying the item is before you tonight. If a decision is not made on it, then the authority to make that decision may revert back to ABC.
Thank you, Attorney Creed. So at this time, do we close the public hearing? Oh, yes, Planning Director.
I also just would like to mention that the applicant paid the conditional use permit fee, which is $16,000 to have us process the application and get to the public hearing stage. Just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Planning Director. So do I have a motion now for the approval of this? Right. Already closed. So Planning Commissioners, any last comment before we make a motion? Commissioner Hawkins? No. Okay, go ahead.
I'll propose a motion to adopt resolution 24009, approving the site development permit number SD 22-0010 and conditional use permit number UP 23-0014, subject to the findings and attached conditions of approval.
I'll second.
So we have a motion from Commissioner Hawkins and a second from Commissioner Gala. Vote, please.
Commissioner Kong,
Aye.
Commissioner Culkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Galang,
Aye.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby,
Aye.
and Chair Albana.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, can we get a clarifying question?
Yes,
So,
Commissioner Call, you had something?
so regarding your suggestion of making a recommendation to City Council to prioritize restrictions for future gas station and alcohol sales, can we also make the motion now, or do we wait until the
We
new
wait for the
business?
new business.
Okay, got it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Right, I'd recommend taking it then, just because there are applicants who have been waiting for their hearing as well. But that is certainly something we can take up during new business.
Thank you. Thank you. So for our next item in the agenda is the X3. Thank you. Congratulations. X3, the escape game at 123 Great Mall Drive. We will have project planner Lillian Wanwa. She's ready. Good evening, Lillian.
Good evening, Commissioners, Chair. Tonight before you, we have a conditional use permit for an entertainment use known as the Escape Game at 123 Great Mall Drive. Next slide, please. The applicant, Tim Banning, from the permit place representing the Escape Game LLC, has applied for a conditional use permit to operate an entertainment use known as the Escape Game in a commercial tenant space at the Great Mall. Next slide, please. As previously mentioned, the project site is located within the northwest quadrant of the Great Mall. The Great Mall is a 1.2 million square foot indoor outlet shopping mall on a 99-acre site. The proposed entertainment use would be within a tenant space previously occupied by Play Live Nation and Mook Art Gallery. Both tenants recently vacated the suites, and the two spaces will be combined for the Escape Game. The tenant space is located across from Century Theaters and Outback Steakhouse. The site is located within the Milpitas Metro Specific Plan area. The specific plan designation is Residential Retail High Density Mixed Use, RRMU, and the planned implementing zoning district of that designation is Metro High Density Mixed Use, MXD2 Metro. However, the project site has not been rezoned yet. As such, the current zoning designation, General Commercial C2, shown here in red on the map, remains in place. Next slide, please. The Escape Game is a puzzle room experience provider. These puzzle rooms are a recreational and team building exercise consisting of groups of players. Players or the public will enter the game areas under the continual observation and guidance of a game guide. The game guide assists the players through puzzle challenges and the search for clues during game operation. A typical gameplay time is 60 minutes. The Escape Game anticipates hiring a maximum of 10 employees. The planned hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 12 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, and 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays. Next slide, please. This exhibit here shows the floor plan. There will be 5 game room build outs. There will also be 2 lobbies, an office, a control room, an employee break room, and a men's and women's restroom. Customers can enter from one of the 2 lobbies, one interior to the mall and one exterior. Both lobbies will allow customers to pay for their entrance fee. Payments and reservations will also be accepted online. All guests can leave and enter the game area, leave and re-enter the game area anytime during the set game time. The doors shall be unlocked as the guests progress through and will always be readily openable from the direction of egress. Any doors secured by magnetic or pneumatic systems will remain unlocked once they have been released. Once all players complete and leave the game area, the game guides reset and lock the doors for the next gameplay. Next slide, please. Staff believes that the project meets the conditional use permit findings, which includes how the use will not be detrimental or injurious to property, improvements in the vicinity, nor to the public health, safety, and general welfare, as well as being consistent with the Milpitas General Plan and Zoning Ordinance. Our findings can be found in both the staff report and resolution. Moreover, staff worked with the city's police department team to condition the project in a manner that will allow the entertainment use to operate in a safe and secure manner. A notice was published in the Milpitas Post and a sign was placed on the window of the building. The city also sent out 6,095 postcards to area residents and landowners within 1,000 feet of the project site. The planning department has not received any comments to date. The project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15301 and 15183. The proposed use will occupy an existing building suite where another entertainment and retail use were previously operating. And furthermore, the proposed use is consistent with the community plan and zoning since the proposed entertainment use is within an existing commercial shopping center. Next slide, please. In closing, staff recommends that the Planning Commission open the public hearing to receive comments, move to close the public hearing, consider the exemptions in accordance to CEQA, and they adopt resolution number 24-010 approving conditional use permit number UP23-0012 subject to the findings and conditions of approval.
Thank you, Planner Banwa. Any questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Galang.
Yeah, Ms. Banwa, you mentioned that the entrance is coming from the inside the mall, right?
Yes, there's one entrance from the mall, and then also an exterior entrance as well.
And how about the exit? Can you exit? It's only one exit.
So you could exit out of both lobby areas.
So when you go to the entrance and you have to pay the fee, right, to play the game, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And there's a lobby or waiting area in the area.
Yes. And I forgot to also mention that the applicant's representative are also, I believe one person is in the chambers and then one should be hopefully on the call as well. But if not, I know there's someone in the chambers if you'd like to hear from them as well.
Hi.
Hello.
There's the exterior entrance with a lobby that guests come in and pay for gameplay, but there's also another lobby in the interior of the mall, same thing, where people can come in and pay for gameplay, and both work as exits as well.
So after they paid, so you have to start from game 1 before you go to game 2?
There are different themes, so you just pick which one you want. So it'll be like Escape from Alcatraz or, Beyond the Depths, and it's a submarine. So you pick which theme you want to play, and that's the room that you would go to.
So how many people are allowed in game 1 or game 2?
2 to 8 people are in a typical game group.
Are this by cubicle or this closed or locked? There's a doors.
They're rooms. They are like floor to ceiling, walls, closed doors, rooms. Yeah.
So they cannot hear in game two, right?
Right.
Game-
Separate.
separate. So you have 10 employees every day, correct?
Correct.
What's their job? And
So there's a control room that's shown on this floor plan where the game guide or host would take the group to their themed room that they picked. And then they would go to the control room where they'd observe that group in real time, if in case anything wrong happens or something is awry, but also to give them assistance and help them with clues.
so the employee not required to go inside the game room, right?
The control room. They go to the control room. I think if you scooch up to the go up to the right a little bit. So there's the control room right there next to game 5. So basically the game guide would take the group to their specific game room that they picked, and then the game guide would then go to the control room where they then have a monitor and they're watching, from surveillance cameras what is happening with that group in that room.
Yeah, are this game for all ages? Or what?
Yeah, all ages. It's recommended 13 and above because there's hard puzzles and clues, but we don't allow anybody we don't allow like a group of kids to play by themselves. If somebody's underage, they have to have an adult with them. But it's 13 plus is recommended.
Normally, after school, kids can go and play. But you seen at 12 noon and there are kids playing during school. You questions about that? You allow them to play?
Are they allowed to play?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're allowed to play. So if they have an adult, like the adult doesn't have to be in the room with them, but if you have an adult with you, I believe we can have a group of kids as long as there's one adult. So it could be one adult that like drops them off.
In the group, right?
Yeah, in the group.
What if the parents would stay in the car and they can still play the kids inside when the parents?
Yes. Yeah. So as long as there's one adult.
No, what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
if the parents would that go to inside the
Right.
so can they still play without?
They can still play.
Oh.
So as long as there has to be an emergency contact. There has to be some adult that's able to be, gotten a hold of in case of anything.
Okay.
So a group of kids, if it's one person that's like 14 or younger, they would have to have an adult with them in the game. If it's a group of kids, they can play the game, but they need to have an adult like as an emergency contact or check them in at the lobby, but they don't necessarily have to go forward with the gameplay.
Why they call it escape game?
The Great Escape. Because it's all escape rooms. So I don't know if you guys have ever done like an escape room before. It's just, it's solving puzzles and clues within the room to escape the room. So you're locked in it. There's one in San Francisco. There's actually 2 of these in San Francisco. And so they have one that's Alcatraz. So your whole goal is to escape Alcatraz. So it's solving puzzles and clues all hidden within that room in order to escape. But you're never locked in. So
Thank you.
Excuse me, for recording purposes, can you state your name?
Sure. I'm Elizabeth Fernengo. I'm here on behalf of Tim Banning, and we're representing the escape game.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you also.
And I believe Simon Malls is here too.
Yes.
So
Very good, very good. Any questions, Commissioner? Oh,
I do have questions regarding the emergency procedure because the doors are locked when the games are being played. And
go
there are escapes. Like for example, if there is an emergency, how do they get out?
So the doors aren't actually locked. So and I believe Lillian was saying it earlier, all of the pneumatic and magnetic door closures are, none of it's actually locked during gameplay. The only thing that it's locked in between gameplay when it's being reset for the next group.
However, participants may not really know that they are not being locked in, right?
Yeah, go for it.
Will there be like panic attacks? Like, for example, they don't know about that? And
Hi, I'm Jocelyn Gubler. I'm Vice President of Development for Simon Property Group. I want to answer your question, but first, I want to congratulate the vice chair and the chairman on their appointments tonight. I've been doing this for about 15 years, appearing before various boards and commissions across the country. And it's one of my favorite parts of civil service is to watch new members take their positions and be appointed and go through the process. The nephew, who is the example I'm going to talk about in a minute, he's just about to turn 18, just about to go off to college and study architecture. And he asked me for spring break if I could bring him to a planning commission meeting. He wants to get engaged and he wants to be involved. Unfortunately, his spring break is next month, so he missed this one. But congratulations and well deserved. Thank you so much. I have a real life example actually with my nephew. My nephew and I, he's going to be 18 next month. I think we've probably done 2 or 3 dozen escape rooms. We do them every day, sometimes twice a day when he comes to visit me for spring break. He had a panic attack. But what the game masters, the hosts, which are the employees of the escape room, do is the minute you arrive, they explain to you, number one, what the game, they give you a great detailed overview of what the game is about, right? The story or behind the puzzle you're solving. But the other thing they do is they walk you through the facility. They show you where the restrooms are. They show you where you can put your keys and your purse and your cell phone so that you're not carrying those while you're trying to solve the game. And the other thing they tell you is if you have a problem, there's usually a signal or a sign. You're on security cameras and you can say, I need help. I want out. They also show you and identify where panic buttons are in the room that will immediately open all the doors. So you're never at the mercy of the staff. You can let yourself out. You can ask them to let you out. And they are also watching you at all times to make sure you're okay. We actually had an incident with my nephew where he got scared inside a game. He started to tremble and the game host said, do you want me to open the door? So it's a very safe process. They're very attentive. I did make him finish the game, but he was excited when we finished it. So I just thought that was a good anecdote maybe to help answer some of your questions.
Yeah, thank you so much. That is really relevant and helps answer my questions.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I have a question too. Sure. So these, I think you mentioned these are some kind of puzzles games.
Correct.
So is that something which helps develop the brain, or is it just for fun and entertainment? What is the objective here?
It's both. I mean, they are really fun puzzles, but just like Sudoku or crosswords or anything, it is, creating new neural pathways. You are working out your brain. It is absolutely development and mental development and brain games.
Is there any risk of getting some kind of addiction and people come back and
No, I mean, that's a really good question. We haven't had any statistics to back that up. We haven't seen that. I mean, people do enjoy it. And then, people do like to do it frequently, but I don't know of any instances where it's become a problem for anyone.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gupta. Any other questions?
Well, thank you, Commission. I really appreciate the opportunity. I think that if approved, that this project would directly contribute to Milpitas' mission of adding fun to the lives of those who work and live in Milpitas. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Galang.
Question. One more thing. Do you have any escape game in any cities? This is your first.
So there are 2 in San Francisco. There is one it's actually in construction right now at Oak Ridge Mall in San Jose. And then there's multiple throughout the country, but as far as this area, that's what we have right now.
Wait, did you start this escape game?
San Francisco. Oh man. The beginning of 2023. Yeah. And Oak Ridge was middle of 2023. That should be wrapping up shortly and opening soon.
Why you choose Milpitas?
Why Milpitas? Because Milpitas and the Great Mall. This is a great area. There's a really good community here, and The escape game is looking for a community of people that are interested in brain games and doing something fun and entertaining, and that isn't just video games or being in front of a movie or something. That's active and involved and a part of the community.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Galang. Do we open it now to any questions? Do we have one?
Can I add a closing remark?
Oh, you want? Yes, yes.
I would,
please.
thank you. I did appear here tonight in support of this on behalf of the Great Mall. This is my second planning commission meeting in 2 months in support of this applicant. I also supported them in Orange County in Southern California in January for a similar application. It's a great use to our centers. As you know, bricks and mortar is changing dramatically. Seems like it's changing every day, but maybe it's a little bit slower than that. And this is one of the uses that we feel is very compelling, in addition to our movie theaters that we have, our restaurants, our fast casual dining options, as well as our retail. It's a way to keep people engaged. It's a way to keep them coming back to our centers. And I will tell you from my personal experience, it's an hour-long game, if you will, or brain challenge. But my nephew and I talk about it all the time. And he'll say, do you remember the one we did? Do you remember what the clue was? There's often historical references. We did one that was about Doc Holliday and the Wild West. We've done different ones about snow expeditions. There's so many games that can be done at so many different venues. And the games do change and they do rotate. So they keep the content fresh. It keeps people coming back. And this is a great quality partner for us to bring to our centers. So we support this and we appreciate your consideration this evening.
I have a quick question. So we can bring our grandkids and grandmas can come too?
Absolutely. My mother just retired about 4 years ago, and my nephew said, let's take grandma to the escape room. Grandma said, I won't be any help, but I'll go. So she thought also my mom had a concern. My mom is about 5 foot. And so she had a concern about being able to reach things and participate in the game. There's no reaching needed. There's no climbing needed. I will say though, some games and my colleague here talked about the brain function and the ability to help grow and develop. It also encourages teamwork and collaboration. I've done this on behalf of Simon Property Group in teams. There are sometimes games where you physically need people to be arm to arm so you can link and reach clues. So it encourages teamwork. It's a really great experience. I hope you'll try it.
Thank you so much. Then we should invite a lot of people and promote it. So anyway, any questions from online public?
I didn't receive any speaker cards for this project.
So do I get a motion now to close the public, Commissioner?
I have one last clarifying question. I noticed that the operation hours goes from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. Isn't that a bit long beyond the normal Great Mall operations? And do you have security on site to make sure that once the mall is closed, there's still going to be patrol or something that helps to support this business?
We do. We will have security beyond the operating hours of the mall. We do that today. We'll continue to do that when we partner with the escape game. And in addition to that, we also have a great partnership with Milpitas Police Department. And if there's any safety or security concerns whatsoever, we'd be happy to meet with the police department and work out a plan to address those concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have one question for Planner Vanwa. Looking at the floor plan, how many restrooms are there? I see 2. So
correct. I think it's one men's restroom and one women's restroom. Inside.
So they're not required to have like gender neutral, or these are considered gender neutral?
I'm not sure what the requirement is for the labeling of the restrooms. I don't know if the Escape Game as a tenant, or if Simon of Jocelyn could speak to that in general across, because since they have many tenants across the
I'm well
nation.
versed in a lot of things, but the labeling of the restrooms, I would not be able to answer that question. I'm sorry.
We have submitted for the building, for the tenant improvement for the building permit on February 6th, and that is supposed to be coming back, believe early next week. So obviously, if we receive it as a comment, we'll address it and correct it.
Planning director has something to say.
I was going to say the same thing, that during the building permit process, that's something that could be confirmed. And it seems like it would be an easy enough change that wouldn't impact the rest of the floor plan.
I just didn't want the applicants to take so much of their time, and then, the design would be readjusted. But I know for some other sites, they require restrooms that are gender neutral, or at least it should have a urinal and all of that stuff. But I'm sure Planner Benoit will make sure that's taken care of. So,
Chair Albana, if I may. So I don't pretend to be a specialist in this exact area of the law, but my understanding of the way that the law works is that current California law requires single-use bathrooms to be designated for all genders. For a bathroom that has multiple different facilities that someone could use inside of one bathroom, I'm not aware of any law that requires gender neutral. In generally accessible places like this, there are some unique situations, for instance, in schools where there are different laws and rules. As far as applicable to this project, I'm not aware of anything.
thank you. Thank you for that clarification. So we learn every day. Anyway, yes. Did we close? Did we close the public comment?
The public hearing has not been closed yet.
So can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I make a motion.
You have a second?
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and a second. Vote, please.
Commissioner Kong? Aye. Commissioner Colkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta?
Aye.
Commissioner Galang?
Aye.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby?
Aye.
And Chair Albana?
Aye.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion now for any comments, any extra comments before we make our recommendation? Do I have a motion then?
Yes. Motion.
No, yes. Commissioner Galang.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 24-010, approving conditional use permit number UP 23-0012, subject to the findings and conditions of approval.
I second.
We have a motion and a second, so congratulations.
Commissioner
Oh,
Kong?
vote. We have to vote. I'm so excited.
Commissioner Kong? Aye. Commissioner Colkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta?
Aye.
Commissioner Galang?
Aye.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby?
Aye.
And Chair Albana?
Aye. Thank you and congratulations. Do the commission and even Planner Benoit get a passes? Remember us. Thank you so much and congratulations. Have a good night. Our next agenda would be new business. Planning Commissioner Director, Planning Director, please.
I don't have a formal presentation, but I will briefly summarize the report to help aid our discussion. So on January 10th, 2024, the Planning Commission passed a motion to discuss the possibility of receiving performance measures from planning staff at a future meeting. And following that meeting, we evaluated various reporting options and to keep the Planning Commission updated on various topics within their purview. The agenda report, or the staff report, summarizes development review process, the planning commissioner's role, and outlines a few reporting options. Regarding the development review process, I just want to say that the Permit Streamlining Act, adopted by the state, sets ambitious timelines for planning review. Therefore, planning department for years has been consistently meeting these ambitious deadlines. Regarding the planning commissioner's role, I think you all are aware that the planning commission reviews, considers, and discusses proposals for new development throughout the city and is empowered to also make decisions on certain land use matters or recommendations to the city council. Whereas issues related to staff performance is within the purview of the city manager. And then as in consideration of those factors, the staff report outlines some reporting options, one of them being like a summary or an overview of the planning department activities. In greater detail, what I mean by that is staff time spent on different major permit types, which is generally reflected in the permit fee. More staff time, higher fees, less staff time, less fees, but we can present that information in a little more detail. Another item that we could report on is applicant response times, as we know that a lot of times the length of a permitting process depends on the applicant's responsiveness to our comments. And then lastly, we could also go over the planning commission accomplishments. I believe in a previous planning commission meeting, we provided the work plan for the upcoming year. And the accomplishments were also provided to the city council at a city council meeting, but we could also provide similar information and a little more detail for the planning commission at a future meeting. So just wanted to provide that summary and open it up for discussion.
Okay. Since I'm the culprit who asked for performance measures, so one question, and I appreciate the excellent report. I mean, a lot of analysis and work has been done. So when you talk about and you're trying to see how you can accommodate and provide some information, when you talk about applicant response times, does that include from start to finish response time of each project in terms of project comes in, then you ask for resubmission after some time, and then resubmission happens? So does that include both sides to the equation? That means the response time of the planning department as well as the response time of the applicant? Does that second report include both sides?
So the recommendation was not necessarily to provide the planning department response times, but we could provide the applicant response times for each submittal. That would be a little bit more of a difficult task, but we could also just provide an average response time in general for all submittals, whether it's an app like the initial submittal or a resubmittal. We can just take the, find all the timelines and take the average and present that as well. Or we could try to do it by each review, but first submittal, how long do the applicants typically respond, and then a resubmittal, how long do they respond? But it might be easiest to just maybe break it up into initial application or initial response, and then a resubmittal, a response to a resubmittal.
So how many projects which come to the planning commission typically in a quarter? I mean, it couldn't be more than, it'll be less than 10, right? I mean, how many are we talking about? Overall projects that come to the planning department for review by the planning commission?
That's a great question. In the fiscal year 2022 to 2023, so July to the end of June, the planning commission approved 8 planning entitlements, recommended approval of 6 development projects, 3 zoning text amendments, 2 zoning map amendments, and 1 general plan amendment, and also held study sessions and adoption hearings for various policy projects. So if you were to add up the actual planning entitlements and also recommendations, that would be 14, if we're talking specifically about development projects.
Okay.
We've done 3 tonight. So.
Okay. So if there are only 14 or so for the whole year, so instead of providing average time, is there a problem in providing for each project give that visibility, because that gives the total story. Otherwise, if you provide average times, it may not really be that useful, to be honest.
That would be a little bit more manageable because we are limiting the scope to projects that come to the planning commission. So we could look at that, and because there are fewer projects, we could provide more detail.
Yeah, okay. And it doesn't need to be in the planning commission meeting. It could be just provided to the planning commissioners outside of the meeting, so that it's not disclosed to the public.
That is correct. We could do that.
Yeah. Okay, that'd be a great start, I think. I mean, any other comments from other people?
Any comments from the commissions? Commissioner Kong.
I have a question for the planning director. Is there any website that exists today that provides that data transparency to applicants? Because I remember a long time ago, the planning website does maintain like a list of projects it's reviewing. Is that still something that is being supported?
Yes, we do have a development activity pipeline data, which is displayed on a map. So it's categorized into projects at different phases, but it includes any active project, even those that have been approved but are still under building review or construction. So we don't remove it unless it's completely constructed and occupied. So we do have that resource still available. It doesn't have the details of like every timeline, like every checkpoint, but it does provide general information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kong. Anybody else?
Say something more.
Commissioner.
When something comes to the project comes to the planning commission, at that time, sometimes I've seen you do disclose when the project actually was submitted to the planning department, and then of course we knew the endpoint because it came to the planning commission. So at the time of your presentation to the planning commission, could in that part of the presentation, could that be this whole sequence that we're talking about, project coming in, going for review and resubmittal and so on, so that we have visibility in terms of how much time it actually took and how much time was taken by the department, how much taken by the applicant? Because sometimes you do disclose the start time. That's the question.
That's a great question. And that is one way to actually address the request for information through each project at a time. My only recommendation for that suggestion is that we don't necessarily provide the timeline for every project. A lot of projects are hopefully straightforward, or maybe have 1 or 2 rounds of review. But I do think that might be a good idea for when the project has had many rounds of review, or for whatever reason the timeline has been very long. I think that could be a matter of best practice when we have a situation like that, which we have had fairly recently. So I think that's a good suggestion, where in the future we have certain projects that may meet that criteria, we can present that information.
Okay, that's excellent. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Planning Director, anything you want to add or ask Planning Director? No.
If I may, unless there are other comments, I think we received clear direction, so I do appreciate that.
And we are very thankful to the staff, thankful for the full support. Just like any other citizen of Milpitas, many times we want to also hear and get our projects going and basically be attended to in as short as possible time. But anyway, thank you so much for all the efforts they put in, Planning Director too. So our next item would be what we discussed, Attorney Creeds, about adding it into our new business about the sale of alcohol in every corner or gas station.
Right. And if it would be helpful to the commission, I can kind of summarize what I had heard. It sounded like that one of the things that the various commissioners were concerned about was alcohol licenses in proximity to schools. It sounded like there was a concern about the number of alcohol licenses at gas stations, and particularly how to conceptualize or think about that particular kind of alcohol license. And then there was, to a lesser direct degree, a concern about other potential sensitive places and alcohol licenses nearby those daycares, other daycare centers, other kinds of places. So those were the three areas that I had heard during the discussions. As far as for what the commission could do tonight, there are various options open to you. One thing that I would propose, or I think that might be worth consideration, is what I heard during the discussion was that there were some places where there wasn't enough information, or things that the commission would like more information about in thinking about these issues. How many gas stations actually have an alcohol license? What kind of proximity to schools are we talking about? What kind of a concentration that we're talking about? It might be worthwhile before taking up the proposal of if the commission wants to recommend some item for study or prioritization to the city council, to instead have staff come back with a presentation with some information that you're interested in, and to perhaps use this as an opportunity to give feedback to staff of what that presentation might look like, what you could use some more information on in order to decide whether or not that you want to make a recommendation to council. For instance, it might be very different if this is the first gas station permit application that has ever happened, whether or not that the commission thinks that it's worth recommending study or consideration of this issue to the council. That might materially change your views. So I would put out there for the sake of discussion that one thing you could do tonight is to ask staff to bring back a presentation. And then I assume that it would be helpful to staff in bringing that item back for consideration to you, to have some clear direction on what kinds of things you'd like them to look into. And I'll leave it there.
I have one additional comment and then also recommendation along the same lines. So one additional comment is, and now thinking more and more, it sounds very strange to have liquor in a gas station, because one ground rule is you don't want to drink and drive. So people coming to the gas station is really putting the gas in and then drive. And if they're buying the liquor, that's against the drink and drive principle. So I think it's a little strange. I think we should pass it on to the city council to decide on a citywide basis whether we should allow liquor being sold in gas stations in the city of Milpitas.
May I make one legal comment on that in case it's helpful? One important thing to recognize with the particular license that came before the commission tonight is that it was an off-sale license. That is, it does not allow the retailer to have the consumption of the alcohol on the premises in any way, shape, or form. You can purchase it, you have to put it into your car. The reason why ABC distinguishes license between on-sale and off-sale is because there are strict laws prohibiting you from having open containers of alcohol in a car. It has various criminal kinds of penalties that come in. So the control there, or at least the premise of those kinds of licenses, is that assuming that you're not going to just intentionally break the law in public view, that you are purchasing alcohol, but then taking it home. If that container even opens, regardless of if anyone drinks it, it would be a violation of the law. And that's the reason why ABC does their regulations in that fashion.
Thank you for that clarification. So let's word it this way. How do we word it now? Okay. We want to make, I guess, a proposal to the Planning Commission would like to make a proposal to recommend a presentation from the staff who could somehow basically come up with clear directions and guidelines with regards to selling the alcohol, not only with gas stations, but, really consider the three items you mentioned: nearer schools or childcare, gas stations, and maybe sensitive places. We just want this to be in place, and that therefore, with these guidelines, it will have other people think twice whether they want to. But obviously, there are basic control that the government has placed into it, checking of IDs and all that stuff. We can only do the strict guidelines, but every person is the one who breaks the law. So basically, we want the staff to do that and maybe recommend to the city council if they see any more benefit in making that a little bit more restrictive. I guess if I said it right.
So I think what might be helpful in formulating a motion is a little bit of clarity on different kinds of roles. So for actually being able to direct staff to undertake a study or look into standards or something like that for a proposal, that's something that would have to come from the city council. What this body could do is to recommend to the city council that they look at this item, and then it would be up to the city council to decide whether or not they're going to prioritize it. And there's a prioritization process for the city council, depending on the amount of staff time that a task would take. But you could make the recommendation and ask the city council to look at this and decide whether or not they're going to prioritize it. We could do that tonight. If you want to make a recommendation, then you'd simply formulate what recommendation you want staff to take to the city council. Or if you feel like you could use more information from staff to help you formulate your recommendation, then you could give direction to staff and ask them to bring back that information to you at a later meeting, so you can decide at that juncture whether or not to make a recommendation to council.
So we can make that motion based on what you just said, right?
I think what I would need is if somebody wants help in formulating a motion, I'd be happy to do that. But there's two very different things that you could be asking to do at this juncture. You could be asking to make a recommendation right now, and that could be your motion. Or you could be asking staff to bring back a presentation at a later time. So what I'd need to know in helping a commissioner to formulate a motion is which one of those two things you want to do. And then what exactly is it that you're recommending or asking staff to bring back?
I think
Can I ask the commissioners?
Hold
Go
on
ahead.
one thing. So
Commissioner.
I'm having a hard time with the discussion because it's not an open, it's not a bar. They have the liquor store right across the street and Ocean Market. This is just a convenience store. It's not just a gas station anymore. We approved a daycare, Rainbow Daycare, to go in place right like 3 suites down from Galaxy Bar, which is a bar and it's open consuming, and we approved that with not a problem. Nobody's going to go into the gas station, buy beer or wine and drink it there. They are taking it home. So I'm just having a hard time with this discussion because of those reasons.
Thank you, Commissioner. Indinas, be any other? Which of the two?
I think instead of asking the staff to give a report first, we should request the city council to decide an overall policy with respect to gas stations. And once the high level decision is made, only then they can ask the city staff to go into the details and come back with the reports. So that's what I would recommend in terms of what motion we want to do from my perspective.
I was going to take the number 2 about just maybe making a recommendation to the city council to just not on a priority, but basically to take a look at it if they feel, because we are only an advisory recommendation, recommending to them if they think that there's something, because as what Commissioner Medina Aspi said, right? We're just there for the community, and basically we think about it, and then we just, if they don't think that it's necessary, then so that's number 2. Commissioner Hawkins.
Is there a way, because kind of what started the whole conversation was statistics on crime and alcohol use and abuse by minors near the school. Is there some way to try to find that information out, where there are issues within the city, like from the police department? And we can kind of address it if there do seem to be problems in that regard, and we can identify possibly what locations are hoping caused those problems, then we could address it. But to make blanket statements about, I'm questioning selling alcohol at gas stations, I'm not a fan of that either. To make a blanket statement like that, just because it is a convenience factor. So I don't know if there's a way to get that information from the police in that regard, if they have it summarized as opposed to going through police blotters or something.
Before we go further, I was going to ask Attorney Fritz here if basically we take a vote. If majority says yes, we'll take this as a recommendation to the city council, or we don't, then we just drop it. Do we take a vote?
You have numerous options available for you. You can take a motion. The motion can succeed or fail whichever way. It can simply be a discussion, and that can be the end of it. You don't have to successfully move to do anything tonight. It's up to the body and what it wants to do.
Can
And I
make a
think
comment?
the planning director had a
Planning
comment.
director. Yeah.
I think Commissioner Calkins, I think that data, I can't speak for the police department, but we will definitely work with them and see what we could get from them if that's desired. And I do think that's kind of the benefit of going through option number 2 is that we could get more information like that data that you are requesting, and then the planning commission could make a recommendation to the city council in a little bit more nuanced way.
Yeah, I
Commissioner
also prefer to have staff, come back with some presentation on this issue. Just because I did hear from planning director earlier that there are steps that can be added to the development review process. For example, if we're concerned that there's a school nearby, have officially reached out to the district for inputs, just like what they're doing with the PD, with the police department right now. And even seeing the decision that we have to make today, there definitely are information that would be very useful to help us and guide us, especially with the DUI data and all those stuff, which we have last year's data, but we do not know in context of the overall city, is this an area specific issue or not? And I think Commissioner Galang also mentioned and asked about crime data. So things like this, I do feel like, getting a discussion within our own commission first before we even request city council for their time would be a good step.
So does the commission here, the commissioners feel that we should just ask the staff to come up with a presentation with statistics and maybe reports? It will help. And then it can be properly worded by Attorney Chris.
Okay, I think we can go with that. If somebody can make a motion and with that approach.
Is that right? We make a motion to get staff to make a presentation.
That's right. So someone could bring a motion. The form of that motion could be the planning commission would like a presentation from staff at a future meeting with crime statistical information for alcohol use and abuse and alcohol related crimes, specifically around gas stations. And I don't know if if you're looking then also for other sensitive places in addition to that. So I think I'd need, if I was going to formulate this, I'd kind of need a little bit more on what people want that presentation to be on.
Planning Director, you had something?
And we could also provide some procedures or internal procedures that could help address these concerns as part of that presentation.
So I would really recommend that maybe our planning commission can basically ask the staff to make that special, with no special study or a presentation that will, of course, involve, Attorney Crit said.
Yeah, and let me clarify to make sure. And if somebody says no, there's more that should be on that, tell me. It sounded like the form of the motion could be directing staff to bring back a presentation about the number of alcohol permits at gas stations, criminal statistics about use and abuse and alcohol related crimes in and around gas stations.
Sensitive place. Insensitive place.
We need to be a little bit more specific about what sensitive places we're talking about. And staff, proposals the staff has of information they could bring upon similar alcohol related permit entitlements to the Planning Commission that might help address planning's concerns about alcohol-related crimes at sensitive places.
Okay, so I make a motion to do just that which is to address the concerns of the Planning Commission, which we have discussed in the last few minutes, that the staff come back with a report to address all those issues and questions that have been brought up.
I second. We'll take a vote.
Commissioner Kong,
Aye.
Commissioner Colkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Galong, Vice Chair Medina Ashby,
Aye.
and Chair Albana.
Aye.
Thank you.
There having no other agenda items, let me read this legal thing, right? Any person aggrieved by any final decision of any board, commission, or department head of the city of Milpitas may appeal the decision of the city council by filing written notice to the appeal with the city clerk within 12 calendar days of the date of said decision and paying the required fee. This time limit shall be strictly enforced. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kong,
Aye.
Commissioner Colkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Galong,
Aye.
Vice Chair Medina Ashby,
Aye.
Chair Albana.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.